Hello, PELWELL family, and welcome to Restore and Rewind. You do need some props to help with our gentle stretches today. You're going to want a blanket, a set of yoga bricks, and a yoga strap. But we're actually going to start on our backs today, so you don't need any of your props quite yet. So feel free just to set them off to the side. And then go ahead and meet me on your back. So once you're on your back, we're going to reach the arms overhead. Our legs are reaching out long. Ground through your shoulders and through your hips, so you're making this small little arch, this little tunnel almost like underneath your low back, and you're letting your front body take up space. So the rib cage is laying open, you're letting the abdominals stretch, and we're feeling this micro back bend through the low back. So once you have your grounding through the seat bones and through the upper back, start to bring your focus to your breath. Notice your inhale and your exhale. Keep firmly grounding through those sits bones and through the shoulders so we have this back bend. Very gentle, easy as we just start to get into it. No rush, whatever, take your time. We're going to keep the arms and legs long, but from here, start to flush that low back towards the earth, so let go of that back bend. We're going to take the feet to the bottom left corner of your mat, so stack the right ankle on top of the left, and then we're going to reach both arms to the top left corner. So we're making this half moon shape with the body, contracting through the left side and stretching through the right side body. Still making sure both shoulders and both hips are connected with the ground. So we're not lifting and leaning to the left, but we're just trying to make this little half moon shape. So you feel a nice deep stretch through all the intercostal muscles on the right side, feeling the rib cage really start to stretch out, and that big contraction through the left side. Even though the arms are reaching overhead, try not to add any tension or shrug the shoulders. Keep softening so we're not putting any tension in the body. Take a couple more breaths here. Maybe as the intercostal muscles stretch, we can take it even more over to the left side so we feel a bigger stretch. Take one more breath here, and then slowly bring everything back through center. So unstacking the legs, reaching the arms and legs in opposite directions. And then we're going to take it over to the other side. So walking the legs to the bottom right corner, we're going to stack the left ankle on top of the right. And then we're going to reach the arms over to the top right corner. So again, we're contracting through that right side. We have that big left side stretch. Just letting the head be nice and even between the arms. And then just focusing on what we're trying to accomplish here with this stretch. So contracting through that right side and really finding that expansion and that stretch through the left side body. Specifically from the hips all the way up to right underneath the armpit in the lat muscle. So really ground those shoulders, ground those sits bones. One more breath. Maybe we can even reach the arms and legs a little further towards the right side. And then gently come back through center. We're going to leave the arms overhead, but cactus shape them. So making that field goal like motion through the arms. And then walk the feet flat onto the earth. Knees are bent. From here, walk your feet a little wider than hips distance. And then we're just gently going to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Releasing any tension or pressure through the low back and starting to find some mobility in the hips. Super gentle, easy sway, rocking those legs side to side. And the next time the legs come to the right side, let them drop to the right. So both knees are facing the right side of your room. We're going to stack the right ankle on top of the outside left thigh and use that to drive the left knee even more. So we're staying grounded through both shoulders, so we have the chest open to the sky. We're starting to bring that stretch through the thoracic spine, that mid-back, and into that left hip. Keeping that cactus shape with the arms, so we're still opening the chest and letting that front body open. Building off where we first started. And then gently release the right ankle from the left, replant it onto the floor, and then find that windshield wiper motion again, back side to side. Finding some more space in the low back and in the hips. And then the next time the legs come to the left side, let them fall all the way to the left. Keep grounding through the right shoulder. Stack your left ankle on the outside of that right thigh and use that to gently let the right knee come even closer towards the earth. Allowing this twist to come from the thoracic spine, that mid-back, not your lumbar spine. So make sure you're not feeling this in the low back. Both knees back up, feet onto the earth. We're going to reach the arms down, hug the knees into the chest, place your hands on the kneecaps, and then moving them in unison, we're gently going to circle the knees around the hips. So massaging that low back as we move in one direction. And when it feels like a good place, go ahead and stop and then change the direction of your circle. Gently come back through center. Hug the knees, maybe grab right below the kneecaps towards the shins. Tuck the chin up towards the chest. You're making a little tiny ball. And then gently start to roll until you can roll all the way up to have a seat and release. And then we're going to roll onto those knees coming through tabletop position. So once you're in tabletop, make sure the wrists are beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips. And we're going to take cat-cow, so that's spinal flexion and extension. So rounding the spine, pull the belly button up. Chest and hips come towards your midline, like you're pressing yourself up and away from the floor. And then as we take everything away from the midline of the body, the belly button drops towards the earth. You take your gaze in front of you. You feel this stretch through the abdomen and this little back bend here. Then we re-round that spine, pulling all those vertebrae up. And then we ground into the floor as we let the belly drop, taking gaze forward. So I want you to really bring your focus to what's happening through the back and especially through the spine. Notice those vertebrae contracting as they pull everything into that rounded spine. And then that extension at the top. And then notice the compression as they come together to let the belly drop. So focus on what we're doing here, this intentional stretch through the back and through the belly. And then gently just come back through center, back through neutral. We're going to take the knees really, really wide and sit back into a wide child with the hips. But from here, we're going to walk those arms out really long and let the forehead melt towards the earth. So you feel the stretch specifically in the upper back and then wrapping around underneath the armpits into those lat muscles. So really active through the upper body, stretching out the upper back and into those lats. Just let your hips melt towards the heels, release the low body. Slowly take your gaze slightly forward. We're going to ground the forearms and just kind of drag the upper body forward and then let the hips melt, coming into Sphinx pose. So we want to make sure the elbows are directly beneath the shoulders, forearms are grounded into the earth, And then actively pull the elbows and the hips towards the midline of the body so we can open up the chest and the collarbones, the wall in front of us, taking our gaze forward. Once more, releasing through that low back. And then gently just tuck the chin to the chest. We're going to take the right forearm parallel with that front short edge of our mat. Bend your left knee. Reach back to grab the foot once you have hold of it. And if you can't reach it with your hand, this is where your strap will come into play. We're going to pull the heel towards the glute and let the forehead come onto that right forearm. So we want to focus on stretching through the front of the left thigh, that quadricep muscle. So really, really use that hand or that strap if you're using it to pull the heel to the glute to stretch that front thigh. If you're complementing this with yesterday's workout, you did a ton of those dead hang squats, so your quads worked a lot. So allow this to be a moment where you can decompress and release all of that and allow the body to start to heal and repair itself. We're going to use this same grip to open the shoulder. So whether you're using a strap or not, we're just going to start to push the foot into the hand or into that strap, pulling the heel away from the glute. So now we feel the stretch through the front of the shoulder rather than the quadricep. So you're really active in the leg. And then gently release, and we're going to let go of that foot and let it come all the way back. And we're just going to switch sides. So bringing the left forearm parallel with that front short edge of the mat, bending the right knee, reaching back to grab hold of the foot with the hand or with the strap, pull the heel to the glute, forehead to forearm. Really focus on that quadricep muscle. Take one more deep breath here. And then on the exhale, let's transition it into the shoulder. So press the foot into the hand or into that strap. Pull the heel away from the glute, open up that shoulder. And then slowly release. Go ahead and keep hold of this foot. We're going to bring the hand to the outside. So if you have hold of it on the inside arch, we're going to rotate to grab the outside of that foot. We're going to release this left forearm. We're going to bend that left arm back. We're going to grab the left foot. So now we have both feet in the hands. Come onto one cheek to release. Take a nice deep inhale. As we exhale, we're going to push your hips into the floor. Press the hands into the feet, just like we did for the shoulders, and try to lift your thighs off the floor. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale, slowly release everything to the earth. Take your gaze over to the other side. Take one more inhale. Let's do this one more time. Press the feet into the hands. Lift. Press those hips. Breathe. And then slowly release it back down. And then gently release those legs. We're going to transition into scorpion. So we're going to stay on the belly. Extend your left arm out from the shoulder. Now it's really important to check the alignment. Make sure your left wrist is in line with the left shoulder. So if the arm's up or down, just realign it. And then we're going to flush the arm flat with the floor. So if it's lifted, got space in that, we want to flush that with the floor. Right hand right next to the chest. Bend your right knee, and we're going to, and then we're going to roll all the way onto that left side, letting that right foot find the earth, and then lowering the head. Take one more breath here, and then slowly roll back onto the belly. Slide your left hand in next to the chest. Extend your right arm out towards the right side of the room. Again, make sure it's in line with the shoulder. We're going to bend the left knee this time, and we roll onto that right shoulder, and then lower the head onto the floor. Really focusing on stretching through that shoulder and allowing this twist to come from the mid-back. And then slowly release, coming back onto the belly. Slide the right hand under the chest and lift yourself, coming back up through tabletop. We're going to thread the needle. So take the knees a little wider than hips distance. Inhale, right arm to right side wall. And then we're going to take it underneath the left arm, sliding it all the way out so we can come onto the shoulder and cheek on the right side. And then we're going to walk this left hand overhead to the front middle part of our mat. And then press in that hand to open up. And we're trying to stack this left shoulder on top of the right shoulder, really opening up this upper body. Take your gaze up towards the sky as you keep pressing into this left hand, stacking these shoulders. Hips are stacked right over knees. Nice job, stay with it. Slowly unravel back towards the earth. Slide your left hand back next to your body and use that to press yourself up and away. Inhale, left arm out. Exhale, thread the needle coming onto the left shoulder. We're going to walk that right arm overhead towards that front middle of the mat. And then use that to stack the shoulders, open the chest, take your gaze up to the sky. Slowly release, walk that right hand back in, and use that to press yourself back up. We're going to come through tabletop, so bring the knees back underneath the hips, so take out that wide knee. We're going to rotate the hands so the fingertips are facing the knees, the insides of the elbows are facing forward, and we're just gently going to rock forward and back, feeling that gentle stretch through the wrist and through the forearm. Back through center, rotate so they're facing their sides of the mat, and then find that gentle rock side to side. Final 2, 1, and release it all the way onto the heels. Lift the upper body and then just circle through those wrists. We do a lot of plank work in our programming, so we want to make sure we keep our wrists really healthy and really happy. Change the direction of the circle. And then we're going to rotate one hand, fingertips to the floor, palm facing away. Use the other hand to wrap around the fingers and just gently pull the fingers back towards the forearm. Soften through the shoulders, so if we're shrugging, let that go. Release, let's take it the other way, so the palm will face us, fingertips towards the sky, so the back of the palm faces away from you, and then gently push it the other way. Make sure we're not bending that elbow, keep that arm really long. And slowly release, shake it out. So we'll do the other side, palm faces away from you, fingertips to the ground, the other hand gently assists in the stretch, soften through the shoulders. And then all we're going to do is rotate, so release fingertips to the sky. Keep the wrist bent, make sure we're not just bending at the knuckle. We want to focus on the wrist. And then take the hand and then push your wrist away from the body. slowly release, shake it out. So we're going to use a couple of our props, specifically 2 of them, for our next couple stretches. The blanket is going to come to the back of your mat. It's just going to act like a pillow for your head, but we're going to use it to find some more flexion in the neck. So if you have a blanket available, I'd like you to use that rather than just laying on the floor. And then we're going to use 1 brick. So have your brick handy, it's within arm's reach, and then go ahead and lay all the way down. When you lay down, you're not going to lay with your shoulders on the blanket. We're going to pull the blanket edge right underneath the nape of your neck, so it's right above the shoulders. So make sure it's not actually underneath your shoulders, it's just underneath your neck and your head. I'll give you a second to get that set up. And then once you have the blanket directly underneath the neck and the head with its edge right at the shoulder tip, like the top of your shoulders, we're going to reach to the edges furthest away from us, and we're just going to gently pull on it until the blanket kind of forces our chin to the chest, almost making like that double chin look. And that's going to help just release any tension that we might be having in the neck, more neutral. So you'll notice when the blanket at first is here, our chin is away from the chest, we probably put a fist under there, and we just feel like we're neutral. But we want to release that and pull so that chin falls naturally towards the chest. So keep the upper body alignment the way we just got it prepared on the blanket. We're going to grab our brick on the lowest setting. Go ahead and bridge your hips. We're going to slide the brick underneath our tailbone and sits bones. So make sure it's not underneath your low back or underneath your legs, but it's actually supporting your hips. And then we're going to extend our legs out really long. So make sure when you extend out long, the brick is placed accordingly. So we feel this low back arching, but we're still grounded and supported on the brick. We're going to leave our left leg long, draw the right knee into the chest, and hug that knee in. As we pull the right knee in, we want to keep the left foot really active because we want to focus on this left hip flexor. So flex that left foot, pull the toes towards that shin, and make sure we're keeping the leg in a line with the hip pointing up towards the sky. So if your left foot's rotating off to the side, draw it up so the toes are facing towards the sky. And then the more we pull the right knee into the body, you'll really feel that left hip opening up and releasing. So once you have everything, go ahead and just focus on the breath. Keep that left leg in line. The alignment here is really important to find the stretch. Gently release your right leg, let it come out long. And then we're going to pull the left knee into the chest. So once we have the left knee in our grip, let's flex the right foot, draw the toes to the shin. Make sure the toes are pointing up towards the sky, the foot's not rotating off towards the right side of the room. Draw the left knee in a couple more inches so we feel that right hip releasing and stretching. Slowly release the hip, but keep your left knee in, and then we're going to bring the right knee in to meet the left. Now you may have to make an adjustment here, like scooch the brick in a little closer to the body to feel supported. So make any adjustments you need with the brick so you feel really grounded and safe. And then we're going to use the brick for a supported inversion. So once it feels like a wedge supporting you, just keep your feet up towards the sky, and we'll use this to take this inversion here. Now, if your neck has adjusted, let's take that adjustment again. So reach towards those edges furthest away from you. And gently pull on the blanket just until it tucks your chin back towards your chest. Again, just making almost that double chin-like setting in the body. So this should really just feel super passive, no effort involved. The brick is supporting your inversion. The blanket is supporting your neck release. So if you feel tension or like you're having to hold yourself in any manner, try to adjust your props so they're doing all the work for you. We're transitioning through active and passive stretches, and this one should be very, very passive. Take one more breath here, and we're slowly just going to bend the knees, let the heels fall back towards the body, and then release the feet to the floor. So we're going to stay here. So now we're in a supported bridge. Now, if you have really a lot of flexibility in your back, you may want to rotate your brick to a higher setting, maybe the mid setting, or depending on your back flexibility, maybe the high setting. But we want to focus on this back bend here, this release through the low back. So if you have the back flexibility, feel free to adjust your brick on a higher setting. I'm personally going to leave mine on low. I have a very tight low back from a car accident years and years ago. So just honor what feels best in your body. If you've got the back flexibility, go for it, go a little deeper. And if it doesn't feel good, just digress back to a lower setting. We're going to slowly reach the arms up and overhead, let them just fall so palms face the sky. Now notice if we're shrugging to soften through those shoulders, and just let the arms melt towards the earth. And again, this is pretty passive. The brick is doing it. So we've all been in a Pilates class. We know what an active bridge feels like, hamstrings and glutes shaking like crazy. So it should not feel like that. This should be very passive, letting the brick do the work. We're just decompressing that lumbar spine and letting the brick support us. Take one more breath here, and then slowly release the hands back down by your side. Now we're going to be a little bit more active. We press those feet to bridge the hips up and off that brick, and we slide that out from underneath of us. One vertebra at a time, we lower it back down. We hug those knees into the chest, and just like we did in the start of class, we like a ball, roll it all the way up to sit. So you can set your brick off to the side. We're going to use our blanket for a chest and shoulder opener. So you want to unfold it so it's maybe like 2 feet by 3 feet, pretty big. And we're going to just roll it to make this like cylinder-like shape. If it's really, really thick, you might want to unfold it again so that way the little tiny bolster that we're making with this blanket isn't so thick, because we're actually going to go into a pretty big chest and heart opener. So if it's too high, that might not be comfortable for you to let the head fall behind the body. So we're going to come back onto the earth. This time, we want our prop to find our shoulder blades. So go ahead and grab hold of the blanket. As you lower down, you want to make sure it's right on your shoulder blades, not your rib cage. You shouldn't feel it on the bones, but on the actual shoulder blades. And then we're going to let the head fall behind it so the back of the head finds the earth. And then cactus shape those arms, or let them come out from the body like a T. And our chest should be elevated above the hips and above the head. So we're focusing on opening through the lungs and through the chest and through the heart. Legs can be whatever's comfortable. You can keep them bent, we can crisscross, we can butterfly, we can extend them straight. But we just really want to focus on opening through this chest region. So arms out like a T or cactus shape is going to assist in finding that space. really going to draw the forearms back towards the body on the opposite side of the bolster, so closer towards your hips. And we're going to use the forearms pressing into the floor to lift ourselves up and then to come all the way up to sit. We're going to use this rolled blanket one more time. Place it on your mat if you were laying down on your belly, right where your hip flexors, those hip bones, right where that leg and hip come together would be. And then we're going to drape our hip bones right on top of that blanket. So as we come onto the floor, make any adjustments you need, but we want to make sure it's finding the actual hip bones. It's not just on the low belly or anything like that, but we're going to use this to decompress to those hip flexors. So we want to use it as a prop to apply pressure to the hip bones. So make sure your alignment's really good, and then we'll just stack the hands and lower the forehead onto the hands. And then just let those hip flexors melt into this prop. Make sure it's not on the low belly. It shouldn't feel too uncomfortable because it's actually on our skeletal structure, not pushing into any organs or anything like that. Keep everything as it is, but release the hands, slide them next to the chest. We're going to come up into a big cobra, and we're going to push those hips into that prop even more. So we're not going to come all the way where we're lifted off. We're still letting weight push into that prop. Take one more breath here, and then we're going to push ourselves all the way up to release. And feel free to let go of that folded blanket and just bring it back to a normal blanket position. We're going to transition into, oh geez, this class goes by so fast. We have like 10 minutes left. We're going to stretch the hips and the calves. So now you need both of your yoga bricks. We're going to come up to a standing position for the calves. So one brick is on its lowest setting. We're going to place the right ball of the foot right on this edge of the brick. So our heel is finding the earth. So my heel is actually on the floor. It's not lifted. And then the ball of my foot is pressing into the edge of this yoga block. From there, we're going to hinge from the hips like we're going into a deadlift. To fold. We're going to bring the other brick on its highest setting to the rest of the other yoga brick, and then push our hands into that. And then start to lean the body weight forward. Now, if the heel comes up off the floor, just back up a little bit, because we want to keep the foot exactly as it was before we came into the stretch. But you should feel a pretty intense stretch in that calf muscle, running up into that hamstring, maybe even glutes and hips, depending on how tight our bodies are. But definitely the calf. And just focus on that breath. You need to go deeper. We keep folding, or letting the body weight come more and more forward as long as that heel doesn't pop up off the floor. And then we're going to lift ourselves up. We're going to press into the heel to release the ball of the foot, slide the foot back to release. Keep everything as it is. Bring the feet directly underneath the hips. Hinge from those hips and come into a forward fold, stretching out those hamstrings. Let your belly keep falling towards the thighs. And then gently press yourself up. We're going to grab hold of this brick that's on the top and come all the way up, root to rise, back to standing. Do the same on the other side. Excuse me. The ball of the foot finds the edge. The heel finds the floor. We hinge from the hips to bring the other brick on its highest setting to stack on top. And then we gently shift the weight slightly forward, and then we start to fold. And again, to come out of it, we're going to bend the knee softly, press into that heel to lift, slide it back. Bring the feet underneath the hips, and this time come all the way into a forward fold. Let the hands come to the earth, belly to thigh, crown of the head melting towards the earth. And then slowly go ahead and start lifting yourself back up. We're going to take both of the bricks towards the top of our mat on their mid settings. We're going to step our right foot through the bricks and then step our left foot all the way to the back of the mat. And then use your bricks, let the right knee stack on top of that ankle. Let your left hip start to melt towards the earth. So you should already feel a pretty big stretch in that left hip flexor. We're going to keep that going as we slowly melt that left knee towards the earth, untuck the toe, and then sink a little deeper. Really focusing on opening that left hip. So notice if the hips are opening to the left side, we want to draw the right hip back, pull the left hip forward so our hips are square towards that front short edge of our mat. We're going to tuck that left toe back under, lift that left knee, stay in this deep stretch so that right knee stays right over that ankle, nothing else adjusts from here. We're going to shift that weight slightly forward to slide the left leg in, straightening out both legs, pyramid pose. So all four corners of both feet are flat on the earth, and we're folding over that front leg. Really big hamstring stretch on the front leg. Hips again are square towards the front short edge of our mat. Bend your right knee, step your left foot to meet the right foot, and we're going to transition to the other side. So step your right foot all the way to the back of your mat. Hands onto those bricks. Bend your left knee to stack right over the ankle. Let the right hip start to open up and stretch. And then with control, we slowly lower that right knee all the way to the earth. Untuck the toe, let the hip melt a little deeper. Really release that hip flexor. Tuck your right toe, lift that knee, stay in this stretch so that left knee still stacked over that ankle. We're going to glide the right foot in, straighten out both legs from there, fold, pyramid pose. And then slowly release. We're going to take the legs all the way to the back of our mat. Let the knees bow all the way to the earth. Walk your bricks up onto their highest setting, but keep them about shoulders distance apart. And then sit back into your child's pose to the lower body. Leave the hands on top of the bricks. Let the head fall beneath the biceps. Open up and stretch your upper body. Spine, gently come back through center. We're going to walk the knees forward to the bricks about 6 inches. Place the tips of your elbows onto these yoga blocks. And we're going to sit the hips back like we're going to child's pose. Bring the hands to touch. Bring the thumbs to the nape of the neck, and then point your pointer finger and your middle finger down your spine. Stretch your triceps. slowly release those arms. Press through those elbows around the spine, come back through, and then come all the way down to have a seat. We're gonna find square pose. So bring your left leg with that shin parallel with that front short edge of your mat. And we're gonna stack the right leg right on top of it. So both knees are bent at 90. We're making this square shape with our legs. Ankle on knee, knee on ankle. If your hips are really tight and this knee's like way up here, you can slide a brick underneath. Just notice what feels best for your body. Take a nice deep breath. Inhale, find length through the spine. And then exhale, we're gonna fold over these legs. You should feel a nice big stretch in the outside of the hip of the leg that's on top. Slowly walk yourself back up, and we're just going to switch sides. So bringing the right leg to the bottom, left leg to the top. Same thing. We want to make this little square shape with the body. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. And then slowly walk your way back in. Release it however's comfortable. We're going to plant the left hand to the outside of that left hip. Inhale, reach the right arm up, and exhale, big side body stretch. Round through the right hip. Keep your chest open, shoulders stacked. And then on the exhale, let's cartwheel over to the other side. And from here, we're just going to let the body fall towards the center and then reach the arms out long. And then gently walk the hands back in. And that brings us to an end of Restore and Rewind. Thank you so much for joining me today for your deep and gentle stretches. And until tomorrow, PELWELL family, be well.